guys, today we're going to be showing you how to install underneath lights for in this case a Jeep Gladiator, a 2020 Overland edition. So we've already got started here, but I'll give you a rundown of what we've done. This is our Jeep here. Now they come in a box like this. When you get them, open them in styrofoam. Have to ask my brother Mike which ones he ordered here because the box doesn't show. But when you open them up, you got 8 lights, little Bluetooth switch, and these 3 wires. They come already attached to this switch. We want to put them in the accessory of the Jeep here, so we're kind of figuring that out as we go. In the process, we were able to find out that these are your wires for your auxiliary switch. There's 1 each. They're right here tucked next to the battery. We know the blue one is auxiliary switch 4 because we messed around and figured that out already. We weren't sure which color each of these wires was for, so in this case we found out red's the power, blue's the ground, but you don't need it because these wires to your auxiliary switch are already grounded. And right now we're trying to figure out what this yellow red wire is for here. We're hoping it's not for the Bluetooth, so if it is, we'll come across that. We can probably just wire it right into the same power wire we're doing the main power. I blew a fuse in the process, finding out that this was ground, so we're gonna have to run to town to get some fuses and we'll keep you posted. Okay, so what we got going now, we got the new fuses, got that all fixed. We wired it in. If you, what's the name of these lights you ordered, Mike? What brand is it?
Mic Tunning.
Mic Tunning?
Yeah.
All right. So if you go to wire it into your factory auxiliary switch in your vehicle, from what we can tell, the blue's the ground, this yellow red, we're calling it the remote. If you use the switch that came with these lights, this would be the wire that supplied power to your splitter box Bluetooth adapter here. But because we already have a built-in ground to the vehicle and we just need power, it's just the red wire hooked up to our blue auxiliary wire, which is auxiliary 4 in the Jeep Gladiator. Okay guys, so next you got to run power to your splitter block. So I already showed you wiring it into the battery. I showed you how you only need the red wire from this original, and I just labeled the other 2. So we had them blue's ground. We labeled the yellow again, it's yellow red, and we labeled it remote. If you use the original switch that came with it instead of your factory auxiliary switches, you would need both those, but you don't because it's already got a factory ground, and you don't need the remote because the switch is automatically wired in to turn it on. So we're coming through the hood here to get underneath the vehicle. There's just a little plastic fender well gap, and you can run that wire. Run that wire right through that gap there, and when you do that, it pops down underneath your fender, and it does that right here. So then you can slide it over to the front, because that's what we did, and then we popped out right behind this little bushing for your frame to cab. And we drop down, and our splitter block for all of our underbody lights is right there. We bolted it just to the skid plate because it was easy access. So just bolt it right through your skid plate here, which is plastic, really easy to get through. And then so for the first light, which is there, you got to take this inner fender apart. You don't have to take it all the way off. You got a snapper of it right there. You got another one there. You got 2 underneath, one there, and one there that you need to pop all those out. I just used a set of pry tools. You could use a big flathead screwdriver, pair of needle nose, and pull them out. And then you got 2 bolts there and there. Once you do that, you can pull this down just enough to get in behind that to bolt that down. I did not use a drill because there wasn't enough room to get my drill in between the tire and the fender. If you had an angle drill, you could probably do it. It's pretty thin plastic. I just used a small flathead screwdriver and poked through. Then use a slightly bigger one to just kind of wallow them out so we can get the bolts and the wire through. And we got that in on this side. Got that in on this side. And this little snap rivet that you guys see that's missing on this side, it's into the frame. It's really hard to get out. Do your best. I busted this one off. You can buy them from an auto parts store if you bust them off, if it really matters to you. It's a little loose, so we're probably gonna have to go buy one, but not tonight. So got this one in same place. They're both running. Did the same thing from this side. Undid all them, pulled it down, put our light in, ran the wire right back down behind this bushing again, and plugged them into our splitter block there. And that splitter block for this particular lights will do 8. The kit we bought was meant for a Jeep Rubicon, not a Gladiator though. So Gladiator's a little longer, so we're not sure if we're going to be able to reach the back fenders or not. We might have to order some extensions. Okay, so with the sides done, we went ahead, we got the front, and the rest of the lights ran. We ran into an issue, exactly what we thought. The long wires, they don't reach the back fenders because the kit that was purchased, like I said earlier, was for a Wrangler or Rubicon, and so it ain't going to fit the Jeep Gladiator. We called the company. They're going to send us some extensions, so we will end up running to the back fenders. But when you get to the back fenders, if you're following this video, same way that we did the fronts, you pull the rivets, mount them the same way, run them along the frame up underneath the skid plate to the splitter block. So I'll show you what we've got running here, and show you how we ran them, and give you a quick view of what it looks like finished. Okay, so for the third light we installed, we didn't want to go to the skid plate here because we figured it'd be too low. So we ended up mounting that up to this steering bar right here. I used just a little aluminum clamp and U-bolts to mount it here. It moves a little bit. We left some slack in the wire, and there's really no issues whatsoever. It doesn't pinch it off. It doesn't have anything wrong, so that worked out pretty good for us. And that was right there next to the skid plate, so we just jumped the wire over and bundled them up. Now for here, these have factory step sides on them, so we just mounted them right to the bottom of the steps. They have these brackets that pop out here, and we just went and got some self tappers and tapped each one right in to these bottom of these steps. If you didn't have these steps, you could go straight underneath them to the bottom of the cab, just underneath these steps, and just like I said, just use tappers, put them in. You'll run the wire right along the frame all the way up. We jumped along the inside right through there, ran them inside off the inside of the coil spring tight to the frame so they can't get wrapped up in it. Then we dropped them down into that skid plate there. We did the same on both sides. Pretty easy. If we had the length, we would have went to the back, pulled these rivets out here, pulled the interior fender down, mounted them right up top. Would have been the same way as we did the fronts. And then for the back, which we also didn't have enough room for, we were thinking we'd just mount it right to the bottom of the tow hitch here, or basically just build another U-bolt on the bottom of the spare tire mount. And then of course, if you had to take the spare tire off, that'd be the only issue. And I will show you the finished product here. Turn aux 4 on. And here are our underbody lights. Turned out pretty sweet. Ours are Bluetooth. We could change the colors, turn them on like a strobe mode, everything else. And I think for not being able to get those back tires and back done, what we did do is turned out, I mean, pretty badass. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it helpful, and thanks for watching, guys.